Here's example 1.14, where we're given three different graphs and asked which of these represent a function. So what you want to recognize is the way you figure out whether a graph is a function is by applying the vertical line test. The big criteria in order to be a function is that every input must have exactly one output corresponding with it. So what it would look like if one input had more than one output is there would be more than one height for a given x coordinate. And so what the vertical line test does is it checks. It checks to see is there ever more than one height corresponding with the given input. And the way you run the vertical line test is you draw vertical lines, and the idea is can you draw a vertical line that intersects your graph in more than one spot. And so I got three graphs here, A, B, and C. Note that for C, I can draw a vertical line, there's one of them, that intersects my graph in more than one spot. So I would say this is not a function. However, these two are functions. And the reason why is any vertical line you draw here, it doesn't matter where you draw it, is going to intersect this graph in exactly one spot. Same idea here. This is not what was asked in the question, but I feel like talking about it. When you have a function, you can determine whether or not your function is one-to-one. This function is not one-to-one. This function is one-to-one. The way you check whether or not a function is one-to-one is similar to the vertical line test. It's called the horizontal line test. The idea about being one-to-one is a function is one-to-one if every single input has a different output. If every output corresponds with exactly one input. So the way you can check that is by running what's called the horizontal line test. Try to draw a horizontal line that intersects your graph in more than one spot. Here's a horizontal line that intersects this graph in more than one spot. What that means is this graph is not one-to-one. It's still a function because it passes the vertical line test. It's not one-to-one because it fails the horizontal line test. This function, however, the function given in part B, does pass the horizontal line test. Any horizontal line you draw would pass through this function in exactly one spot, so this one is one-to-one.